Mr. Lashley, what are your overall views about this Carifesta? You would have done Carifesta 13. With this Carifesta, there are you talked about a lot of spaces that were renovated. The gymnasium. You talked about the Daphne Hackett Theater. Joseph Hackett Theater that we now have as a result of it. As you look at this festival on a whole, somebody who would have put one on, what are some of the takeaways, the concerns, the things we need to celebrate, etc.?
Yes, thank you, Marcia. I think um, I always say Carifesta presents a captive opportunity to showcase the collective and individual talents of the region. Our region is so rich of talent, and we would see it displayed in any Carifesta. I believe the events that I went to, I was very proud of the productive talents of our people across the region. There's no doubt that we have a product that can be used to not only empower our people, but to exchange it for valuable foreign exchange across the world. So having a Carifesta, the region will deliver. We have over 35, I believe, delegations who will come into the particular host country for Carifesta. And it is really for the host country to have a vision as to how you're going to take this rich energy and product and help these enthusiasts to transform and really reach their true potential. So my takeaway in relation to Carifesta 15 was, yes, it was very glitzy in terms of what the government was doing in terms of the venues. It was obvious to me that the government has started out or wished to make a statement in relation to the venues that it wanted to hoist in the air. I know for a fact that many persons were surprised when they discovered that where the Grand Market was. Nobody knew that it was there until, of course, they were trying at the last minute to try and finish various activities. The actual development of the center at Newton. Um,
Mhm.
I said on record that I have always been a proponent of developing an artistic center. My concern more was focused in terms of this came, it just came out of the blue. There was no discussion of a budget, even in relation to Carifesta. We're yet to know. I don't believe actually that we'll ever know the true expenditure for Carifesta. I don't think that the government will tell the country what it
I
is.
agree. I
Um,
agree.
I know that because if you had to do just a visual examination or look at what it would have taken, because you had two major projects going on. You had the artistic center at Newton, and then you had the Grand Market. Mind you, the late planning for Carifesta in Barbados meant that the government had to utilize millions of taxpayers' dollars to finish or bring these venues to a state of utility. So rather than utilize the 3 years, because you did have 3 years to plan Carifesta from the last one, you then ended up in a tailspin where you were tight for time. You had little time to bring the facilities to a point of completion. And I know if you go to major providers of services in Barbados, particularly those who provided asphalt and who provide heavy equipment, they will tell you that their services was very much in demand at the umpteenth moment. In fact, Barbados has had to pay premium dollar for the slackness of certain people who did not plan and do the thing properly. So, to avoid embarrassment, you had to churn out a lot of money. If you look at that document that I saw, I realized that certainly what went to Parliament in the estimates was $4 million.
Yes.
And we in 2017, our budget was just around eight, not budget, our expenditure was
Hmm.
just around eight point something $1 million for Carifesta. And the reason why we were able to manage that kind of budget is that certainly we felt we should utilize existing spaces. We felt the legacy we wanted to leave was in relation to the schools, for example. A lot of the talent that we have in the schools, so we develop and improve common air and all of those schools that had, you know, production spaces. We improved them. We didn't see the need to create some kind of facility in the honor of somebody else. That was not what we did. And the LESC, I
Yes,
heard
I want to know about
I
that. Yeah.
heard Dwayne talking about the international buyers. Imagine, and we knew it. Carifesta was held, of course, is held every year during the hurricane season. And one of the risk factors we planned against was in the event that there was bad weather, how do we function? So the planners felt that the LASC, with this already paved facility, a building that was there, was transformed into Grand Market. And remember, I said the creatives in the region will always deliver. The host country has to evolve a vision. And the vision we had, and for Carifesta 13, was that it ought to promote the creative sector. So the Grand Market was called the Creative Industries Grand Market. And every component of that Grand Market was based on how the creatives who brought their goods to Barbados and persons in Barbados can trade their services and what they made. So we brought international buyers from the United States, from Europe, and I can tell you that several of the creatives were able to create linkages, and they were able to enter into some very, very definite contracts by which their goods were mass produced out of Carifesta 13. So I think it's very important. And you see, sometimes we get caught up in trying to create something from scratch. And I can tell you, I did go to the COSOD meeting at CARICOM, and I was able to convince the ministers of culture that Carifesta 13 needed to focus on this sector that we want to create. And we felt going forward, and I'm sure at the level of CARICOM, there's a thinking that Carifesta ought to be used as a showcase of the culture industries, and to link that into what governments are doing to convert talent into foreign exchange. Now, Barbados should have been no different. And in fact, one of the things that cloud our judgment
Mhm.
politically is we seem not to want to tap in on to the energies of persons who've done this thing before. So someone mentioned to me that interestingly in Barbados, you had a minister of culture who led Carifesta 13, but had no involvement in Carifesta 15. I would have still given my views freely if it was asked. I would
Mhm.
still indicate to
Mr. Lashley, I want to ask a question. I was
yeah.
and Dwayne can jump in, and I see. I know this is not necessarily Zico's area, but he can jump in at any minute. But I was wondering, couldn't we have transformed the gymnasium for the Grand Market? We have the, as you said, the outside is already paved, and we have the room inside. Because they still had to bring a stage in at the place. So there's that place there where the Grand Market is. It's not going to be a permanent stage there. It seems that you will always have to fly a stage in. So what I'm trying to do is I genuinely wanted to know if we could have used what we already have and improved on those areas. I don't know if Mr. Dwayne Grazette know anything about the gymnasium and whether that could have been used.
Before Dwayne gets in,
Yes.
I think it is very important that we give ourselves the adequate time to plan infrastructure.
Mm.
Um, Rushing into it and doing it in a shoddy way does not help either Barbados. It doesn't help the economy in any way. You can, for example, create a facade. I don't think the facility at Newton is completed, and certainly I don't think that the facility at Waterford will actually do what they have said they want to do. You recognize that what you have is some very big tents in the air in a country that is hurricane prone. And if you remember that we had similar structures at the NCF for a particular Carifesta, and we just
Yeah.
had a storm. A storm tore it away, and they had to be dismantled. So I am saying that you can do all this stuff to make it look pretty. Is it practical? And one of the things I wanted to hear, because I didn't want to speak even before, and I know the creatives don't want to speak, but one of the things that I think ought to have happened is that I asked the question whether any input of the creative sector went into these facilities. I am one who is a proponent of having an arts, a national artistic center, but I also feel that the people who have to use it should be the ones to say and to give their input as to how it should. So you need time to do it. I think what we did was to use existing facilities. It saved money and it was practical. I understand at the Grand Market when it started, you still had electricity problems. You didn't have water and stuff like that for a couple of days. So these things have to be thought through, and we have the capacity. We have the planners in Barbados, if they're given opportunity to give input, to guide governments away from wasted expenditure. I think that the idea of the gymnasium, yes, because you already have infrastructure there. You have everything that you need to create simply what we did with the LESC. I do understand that on this occasion the LESC may not have been available because it has been leased to a medical school.
Yes.
The entire facility has been leased to
Yeah.
a medical school. But I think that we have to, in the future, look to see that we don't waste money by doing things because it is seen to be somebody's view to do it. So I'm listening to hear one, whether there was any input in the planning coming from the people who are the beneficiaries, and whether or not these facilities have been put together with a view to the future. And that is not to take away from the very fantastic and excellent performances and the products of our people. Our people create very, very, very phenomenal products and services. We have to be able to every Carifesta present a stage that it makes sense. That even if you're telling me you spend $20 million, you should be able to convince me that based on where your focus Carifesta, that the return on that investment makes sense. In other words, you're going to match the expenditure
Mm-hmm.
versus the what the vision is and what the practical takeaways. And certainly we can't have a Carifesta in the Caribbean without having international buyers. It's important because those source markets are the ones that we have to track. And Carifesta presents one of the most, eventful opportunities, both by film, by everything possible, to tell the world, look, we are open for business.
Yes.
What I would like to say,
Yes.
I think it was a good idea in terms of you mentioning gymnasium, but the reason why they couldn't use the gymnasium is because it's heavy construction being taking place now at the gymnasium for the expansion. So I don't think that it would have been ready in time, even if they wanted to use the gymnasium for Carrie Festa.
Okay.
What I think, what I think that should have happened, and I agree with the former minister, and this is what the entertainment industry in Barbados have been calling for all of the time. And they hear it with the Pickety Crop finals, they hear it with all these different kind of things, right? I thought and I think and I'm convinced that it could have happened because we didn't know that we were doing Carifesta last week, or we didn't know we were doing Carifesta in January. We knew we were doing Carifesta before because other persons turned it down. We jumped at it. That should have been a great opportunity for the government to say, look, let's invest in a multi-purpose venue for culture, the cultural industries. That is where the money should have gone, not in those big tents and these different kind of things. The center up in Newton is a good idea, but it should have been a more space, right? It should have been more space, and it should have been well done because we have spaces in Barbados where they do shows and stuff like that. that does not have proper box office facilities, does not have good um, backstage facilities, dressing rooms. The artists got to be intense, all these different kind of things, proper bathrooms, for the patrons, proper seating, right? We should have created like how they have the gymnasium, which is primarily for sports. We should have taken that money and invested for a facility which is for the entertainment, and we could have had around the venue with the places with stuff where you can have the grand market too as well, and have it as one major location that everybody trek to, right? We got to look at the traffic management, parking, all the different kind of things that we should have done, and have a venue like we have the LESC, which was for conferences and stuff like that. We should have had something built primarily for this kind of cultural activities, so that people could do plays in it after, so that people could do shows. We could even have a place where we could do the pick the crop, that the artists, and because our couple festival is around the hurricane season as well, and every year we have logistical challenges when we have the bad weather, right? People complain about the toilets, people complain about the grounds, people complain about all different kind of things, right? And we should have taken that money and invested it. If we say we care about the arts and we care about the industry, we should have taken the money, and instead of having to then pay Carl Williams and them premium price, because if you want people to work premium hours and 24/7 and all of that to get these things ready, you have to pay them good money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could have started before government can, and don't talk when they ain't got no land or not, because government got the tendency of um, acquiring people's property and land, right, for major projects that is going to be a benefit to the country. So we could have done that and start to do the thing right properly, so that we have, when we finish with Carifesta, there's something that you can take away. You can say, look, this is an investment that can last the next 50 years. That is what I believe, right?
Oh,
And
question
then,
question to you, Andre. So, just in
mhm,
response, playing devil's advocate. So, what if they had said that the reason why they didn't do it is because one, they already invested heavily in terms of the art center they have, I think opposite Newton or something like that. They know develop the barn looking like thing. You know what we're talking about,
uh-huh,
right? And then
yeah.
also too in terms of the botanical gardens itself. So saying that they already invested into that being a entertainment hub, that's the reason why they wouldn't want to then separately go and invest into another venture to host said events. Because really and
But
truly, if
that's
you
very,
look at really and truly in terms of her speech when she said, well, what we say about the good and faithful servant, we listen to the people. The intention was never for it to be a permanent stature, whatever that thing's supposed to be. So clearly, I think their thinking was that we already invested into botanical gardens and to the new art center in Newton. So why would we continue then to take the taxpayers' money and then
all right,
what
so
would you
but
say?
why we get the taxpayers' money to buy the 5 or 6 of those tents that they brought from China, right, to put down there? Then they can say, okay, we're going to use them now after the Carol Festival, because people say how beautiful they look and this and that. And at the end of the day, the Botanical Garden is the open air venue, right? There is a need for a venue that is covered, that has nice seating. They got room, they got changing rooms, right? They got box office facilities out front. They can
And then
put
they
in
will
lighting.
say, and then in response to that, then you would say then the gymnasium. But the reason why they couldn't use the gymnasium this year is due to the expansion that is already taking place at the gymnasium. So they could
But the
also say that as well. We already have
gymnasium,
the gymnasium that holds a capacity of how much you hold, 5,000 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, Barbados does not have that magnitude of events yearly round to hold that capacity above 5,000 people
but you have to
indoors.
remember, Zico, that the gymnasium is primarily for sporting
Correct.
activities, right?
Correct.
When you have an event in the gymnasium, you have to bring in stage, lighting, and sound, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
you have to be scrambling about to find out where you're gonna put the dressing rooms and these different kind of things. Then if you have a
Agreed.
major
But then,
sporting,
but then, then you gonna have to answer the question:
there
how
we
would you
go,
be able to sustain
technical.
it if you don't have that much events that actually carry that
We
numbers?
have
Besides
we
spoke
have
about.
we just have events every single week, every month. There's got big events, right? That be happening in December. They're gonna go or in November. They're gonna go tons of events, big shows. They're gonna go all kind of different things that they're gonna got happening. That the
Mm-hmm.
venue will be there because, like for instance, at Crop Over, they said that they could not hold the pick of the crop finals down at Kensington over because there was CPL cricket and this and that and the next, right? Right? Which I thought was a lot of rhetoric. And I do not like people who try to, and that is one of the reasons why I just get angry with this government because they tell too much lies and untruth, right? To make themselves look good. And it's all about public relations and facades and glitz and glamour and all these things, right? To distract the public from what is the real issues and what is really going on, what is practical. Because you
Yeah.
have people who are placed in these places who does not understand the thing. It got square pegs in round
Right.
holes. And
Dwayne, because of time, let me. We're gonna have to continue this, Dwayne, and but let me say something, because you are asking some very good question, Zico, and so I want to attempt to answer some of them because, Dwayne and we would be practitioners. We are people who rent spaces and who put on events, produce events, etc. And what I'm going to share with you is what I would have spoken to other large producers in Barbados. He would do things bigger than I do, and without discussing with Dwayne, they're making the same suggestion. So look on the screen, Zico. This is a center in Tobago, which is called the Shaw Center. I don't know if you've been to Tobago. Anybody on the panel or anybody been to Tobago?
mhm,
Okay. Now, a facility like this, Mr. Minister Lashley, um, right now Dave is showing inside. It's not, doing this picture doesn't do justice to it. But this facility seats about 3,000 people. Now that Tobago is way like probably about 50 to 70,000 people live in Tobago, right? But what they do with this facility, this is the main facility whenever there is an event. And they have done it in such a way that they have beautiful seating, it's air conditioned, beautiful bathrooms, great lighting, fantastic sound. When I tell you, dressing rooms, everything. And if you go there, because we were trying to rent it for something for Praise Academy Barbados, we could not attract 3,000 people, but they have done it in such a way where parts will be blocked up and you can get a smaller theater in it, but you have a
That's the
space.
LESC.
Yes, you have a space. There you go. It's very similar, but you have but with the LASC though, you have to bring a stage in. With this, you don't have to bring anything in. Okay, this is a state of the art theater, which we do not yet have in Barbados. Somebody will say we have Frank Coloma Hall, but that is set up for music. If you're somebody who is accustomed to doing musical production, musical theater productions, the Frank Coloma Hall is not the best for that. Okay, we have the Daphne Hackett Theater, and that is semi
A
state of the
smaller.
small, and you still have to bring in, the last time I used it, lighting and sound. You understand? That is a bit better than well, you still, I mean, the stage is there. So what um uh Dwayne is saying is that I don't know if it could have been done this time around, but we're just saying that what we need a state of the art space that we can, when crop over comes, it becomes the place. When Praise Academy wants to go in it can become smaller. It can do the same way how they're able to use this Shaw Center in Tobago. We need a state of the art theatrical place. In Trinidad, they have them in the south. They have one in the south. I forgot the name of it. They have one in the north that I'm telling you, you would think you're in America. You know, when you see these spaces, the reality is that we don't yet have that in Barbados. So at the end of this entire Carifesta, the space that's there with the Grand Market, we can't really do, um, you know, I mean, a state of the art. Keep using that theatrical production there. You have to fly everything in order to get it done, right? And I think that's what what Dwayne is saying. And your point is taken about the gymnasium not being ready. I think that would have been the next best place. The only thing with that, the gymnasium is great, air conditioned, seats are there, you have the bathrooms, you don't have enough dressing rooms, and then you also don't have a stage, you don't have the lighting, you don't have the sound. So when you go to the event, those things are there. So you think, oh, this is a great space. But the producer has to fly all of those things in. Okay. But we can continue the conversation. But let me go to Mr. Lashley, and then everybody will have a chance to close out. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lashley.
Well, I just think that the key to it is that I spent a lot of time walking and talking with the artists, those persons who are the beneficiaries, and it's amazing. And in relation to the National Artistic Center, what I would want to know, because in terms of measuring value for dollar investment, is the extent to which the utility would have been tested in terms of those persons who are the beneficiaries. Because if that happened, then what makes a lot of sense is that you don't end up with wasted dollars. Because from the onset, even if you were pushing it for Carifesta, then you do it based on some kind of consultation where the beneficiaries are going to say to you, look, if you're going to do this, if you're going to spend $10 million or whatever, it's best to do it this way. Even if you can only do half of it, have it finished for Carifesta. So when I raised the point about the expenditure, I think, you know, what the government may have got itself caught up in is in trying to impress Barbadians and the region by saying we can do this, but then at the end of the day, you're going to have to probably get back to the drawing board, and dollars would have been spent in a way that didn't make sense to the people who are the beneficiaries. So I believe that any assessment of these facilities, and I hope the government, you know, is going to come to the country and explain it, but that this investment must be matched based on common sense and based on the fact that this is meaningful in terms of where we're going forward with the creative sector. And those are really my prime concerns in relation to it. I don't believe, and I would not be one to say that money should not be spent for the creative sector. We spent money, and I insisted that we spent money for the creative sector. What we want to do, though, is to do it in a way that makes sense and is not just putting it up as for the glitz and say, well, look, we did this. At the end of the day, the legacy of any Carifesta is going to be in terms of the utility of the spaces and whether the spaces can do what the artists would like to do it in expanding their business beyond Barbados.
Yeah, yeah. And Mr. Grazette, your final word. We have a minute before
I don't want, Marcia, I do not want to be critical. I want to add. I always wanted not to be critical, but to add what I know and what I feel that can work and to improve what is happening, because my love is for Barbados, right? And it's not for the one person. It is helping to put ideas out there, talk to people, find out how they feel, and relay it back to this government, right? Only if they listen. And not take everything that you said as a criticism, right? Or whatever. It is to help develop the thing for the betterment of the industry. right? And like as I said before, we needed and we need a venue, a center, whatever, and it will also increase the amount of people that we have and increase the amount of people that who wants to be involved in the arts. Like for instance, you're going to be giving jobs to guys who wants to do sound, who wants to do lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because these venues still has to be maintained after the fact, right? And my concern is when we put these venues here, now that they're saying that we have for the Carifesta, how are they going to be maintained? How are they going to be used to generate income back for this country? And all of these things are things that has to be talked about and has to be discussed and should have been planned for. Because, like for instance, when they did the same Richard Stout facility, they had to
Mm-hmm.
take them to the next year when crop over come to be scrambling, right? Where they had a whole year, a whole 12 months after that to help develop it. Actually, they had 2 years, 2 years, right? That they had clear to finish develop the venue. Where it gotta be always a last minute thing with this government is always last minute helter skelter rush down and it does not then deliver on what it's supposed to deliver. And that is my problem. And I always try to say that. And every time I speak and every time I say something, I'm consistent with saying the things that I'm saying because it's because I care. And it's not because I want nothing for this government. I don't like well, I want the publicity, nothing so. All I want is for the cultural industry to grow. And because Trinidad will have all of these great facilities and do all of these things because it's within their culture. And that is where it comes from. It's supposed to be, as I
Yes.
said earlier before, you have to have the passion for it. And it can only work if you have the passion. And these people don't have the passion, they just use the creative industries for their own benefit, right?
That
Because and I will tell you, and I will tell you why I say that, right? Right? In 2008, right?
half
In
a minute because we
2008,
passed the time. We have to bring you
right?
back. So take half a minute. Yeah.
There was a particular artist, right, that they wanted to get his song for the campaign song, right? And they promised all kind of thing. We had a meeting at the current prime minister's house from 9 o'clock in the night to 4 o'clock in the morning, and watching videos and thing with music and all that, right? She get the boy song, only give half the money, and he never see another cent, and he and this fight it down to this day still, right? So what that tells you that they don't care, and that artist just take up his money, his time, and invest, do his own events and all kind of thing, right? To help propel, and he's always be getting fight down. And I felt bad, you know, I felt bad because they took him there. The Democratic Labour Party was paying more than $25,000 for the song, and they didn't want it exclusive. And what this current prime minister offered to pay him was far less than half, right? But then there's no thing for that art, and that artist does be stepping out the box and doing things, investing his own money, his own time, right? And these are the things that really bothers me. They really, really bothers me. So they don't care about the industry. I would like them to pay more interest in the industry because it can make Barbados rich because the creative industries has a lot of money in it, and you know it, Mr. Lashley, you know it, Marcia. The creative industries can make money, and it can pull along so
So
many
many.
people
Yeah.
with it. So
Yeah.
many people that can pull along with it.
So Dwayne, listen. I'm always passionate. You arouse my passion again for the arts whenever we have these discussions, and it'd be great if we, it's so nice if we could be in a physical place, face to face, Zika and Mr. Lashley. We're going to have to arrange that, and where we can be feeding off each other and really like a think tank and just talk. I think that would be wonderful. Zico, any Any final words you have to say? Don't give me a long half minute as Mr. Dwayne, but do you have any thoughts to end up with?
Yes, what I would like to say is just this current administration, its biggest weakness so far, especially, is the mishandling of youth and culture within Barbados. The same way they put the emphasis on in terms of exports, in terms of product, and in terms of tourism, they need to start thinking about the exportation of our cultural imagination as well and our creatives as well. I just would like to say that. I mean, to invest in the youth, continue to put some more programs in place, keep them active and keep them going. So that's what I'd like to say.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I want to thank Mr. Lashley for joining us this evening. And we didn't even say congratulations. I got up one morning and saw you were a vice president, I think, of the Democratic Labour Party. I didn't even know. Are you running for office again? Are you going to be a candidate? Or you? I can't hear you. Did you turn off your mic deliberately?
No, you've asked me if I would be a candidate again.
Yeah.
Not as part of my human intention at this point in
He
time.
should. He
Um,
should.
but I am going to be helping the Democratic Labour Party from inside. I believe that there certainly can be an alternative to what's happening in Barbados, and listening to the voices of the people will be something that I will be doing. But in terms of running for office, you probably wouldn't see me running for office.
Well. You know, there are lots of people who think you should, and will be praying that you do.
One never knows. One never knows. One never knows.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations, and all the best for the party, and all the work. And I know you bring a lot of experience and knowledge to the team.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much, viewers. Oh my goodness, you know, this is arts and culture. Dwayne, I could talk the whole time, but you and I, we're going to chat, because we're going to set up something that we come and we sit down and we talk, because we have a great time when we all chat together. On the screen, you're going to see the protest march that is scheduled for Saturday at 10 o'clock, starting from Kensington Oval to Independence Square. And we're inviting you to come. It says if this is noise, then make more noise. They told us all we do is make noise. But we're getting bills amended, and we're getting lots of things happening. But you know, they want to make sure we don't make any noise. So we say we're going to make more noise. All right. So see you all on Wednesday. We have our show again, and on Friday. And then we're out again on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. God bless you. Thank you,
Thank
guests.
you.